sitting arrogantly at the center of the desk. I opened it. Password prompt. Irrelevant. I inserted the USB. The screen flickered, then surrendered. A black terminal window replaced the interface. Lines of code cascaded rapidly as the system was overridden. A progress bar appeared. Cloning in progress. Good. While it worked, I hunted. I bypassed the interface, digging straight into hidden directories. People like Brandon always believed they were untouchable. They hid their crimes in plain sight, buried under layers of arrogance. A quick search. Recent modifications. Encrypted folders. One stood out, locked behind biometric security. I almost smiled. Predictable. I launched the decryption script. The bar crawled forward. Slow, painfully slow, every second stretched. I glanced at the door. Listened. Nothing. Finally, click. Access granted. The folder opened. Files flooded the screen. PDFs, spreadsheets, bank records. I opened the master ledger and froze. Offshore transfers. My pulse slowed. Focused. Controlled. I scrolled. Millions. Moved in clean, calculated streams, from church donations to shell accounts. Cayman Islands. Layered laundering. Professional. Systematic. Not careless. Not accidental. Intentional. My eyes dropped to the bottom. 2 authorization signatures. Brandon and Darius. The air left my lungs, so that was the truth, not a follower, not a victim. The mastermind, the holy man himself. Stealing from the very people who trusted him. I pulled out my phone and took photos, clear, precise, undeniable. Evidence. Proof. Weapons. The progress bar hit 100%. The terminal vanished. The screen reset. Clean, untouched. I removed the USB, wiped the desk, the keyboard, every surface. No trace. I unlocked the door and stepped back into the hallway. Then I dropped to my knees, cloth in hand, scrubbing the baseboards. Right on cue, footsteps. Brandon, he walked past me without even a glance, stepped over me like I was nothing. Invisible, insignificant, harmless. A slow smile touched my lips as I kept my head down, because the man who thought I was beneath him had no idea. I was holding the blueprint to his destruction. By early afternoon, my phone buzzed. Scarlet, no greeting, no courtesy, just a command. Be at Le Bernardin. Now, Evelyn had apparently decided my punishment wasn't over. I was now Scarlett's personal assistant for the day, expected to carry her bags, fund her lifestyle, and absorb her insults with a smile. I changed into a plain blouse and booked a ride. Right on time, right on cue. The restaurant patio was drenched in sunlight, polished and pristine. Scarlett sat at the best table in the corner, of course she did. Chanel tweed jacket, oversized sunglasses, a glass of rose already in hand. She didn't even look up when I approached. Sit, she said flatly. And don't embarrass me. I obeyed, quiet, small, invisible. She ordered extravagantly lobster thermidor, truffle fries, imported wine like it was water. I ordered a side salad, and tap water. She spent the entire meal talking, complaining about the stress of her life, bragging about a luxury trip to the Maldives, dropping subtle jabs about my clothes, my job, my lack of ambition. I nodded when expected, ate slowly. Let her talk. Let her expose exactly who she was. When the check arrived, she didn't even pretend to reach for her purse. She slid it across the table toward me with one manicured finger. You're paying? Casual, entitled. Brandon's accounts are being updated, she added with a bored sigh. His card's down. A lie, a bad one. I glanced at the receipt. A ridiculous amount for a meal I barely touched. A week ago, I would have argued. Today, I smiled politely and handed over my card because I knew something she didn't. Brandon's accounts weren't down. They were being strangled. That night, back in the small guest room, I locked the door and pulled out the secure phone. Desmond's team had finished processing the data. I opened the encrypted portal and went to work. It didn't take long. With my background in risk assessment, the pattern was obvious. Blatant, ugly. Brandon wasn't a genius. He was a fraud. His hedge fund was a textbook Ponzi scheme. I scrolled through the records, my jaw tightening. He targeted wealthy church members, especially the elderly, used his connection to Darius to gain trust, promised guaranteed returns, then stole everything. Their money funded his lifestyle, cars, clothes, vacations, illusions. When investors asked for returns, he paid them using new victims, a house of cards, and it was already collapsing. Then came the losses, market dip, panic, reckless trades. He lost everything. Millions gone. Desperate, he turned to Darius, and Darius approved it. Church donations, money meant for charity, were funneled into Brandon's accounts. To cover his crimes, to hide the truth. They weren't just corrupt. They were feeding on the people who trusted them most, but even that wasn't enough. I opened the liabilities folder and froze. Brandon had taken out a massive high-interest loan. Predatory. Desperate, the terms were brutal. One missed payment, everything gets seized. Everything, the mansion, the church, all of it, and the co-signer, Darius. My lips parted slowly. They had tied their own noose. I scrolled up to the lender's name. Titan Holdings LLC. Something clicked. I pulled up Desmond's corporate registry. Scrolled. Stopped. There it was, Titan Holdings. A slow, dark laugh escaped me. Brandon thought he borrowed from a faceless predator. He thought he could outplay the system. He had no idea the man holding his entire life in his hands was my father. The next morning, I was scrubbing a bathtub when Darius appeared in the doorway. "Come to my study," he ordered. Cold, impatient, I followed. Calm, controlled. His office smelled like leather and power. He sat behind his desk, waiting. A document rested in front of him. He slid it forward. "Sign it." No explanation, no eye contact. I stepped closer. Read, a property transfer, my land, the worthless plot they'd mocked for years. Inside, I smiled, because I knew something he didn't. That land wasn't worthless. It was about to become invaluable. A new interstate project quietly approved days ago would cut straight through it. Government buyout, millions, guaranteed. He wasn't building a parking lot. He was trying to steal a fortune, again. "I understand," I said softly. I picked up the pen, then let it fall. "Oh, I'm so sorry," I stammered, dropping to my knees. 2 seconds, that's all I needed. Swap complete. I stood back up, holding a different pen. Identical, except for one thing, the ink. I signed. Slowly, carefully, but wrong, subtly wrong, altered strokes, missing marks, and most importantly, vanishing ink. Within hours nothing would remain. I handed the document back. "It's done, Father." He looked pleased, smug, satisfied, like a man who believed he had just won. "Good," he said, locking it away. "At least you're finally useful." I walked out, closed the door, and the mask dropped instantly. His victory, an illusion. By tomorrow, that document would be blank, and when he tried to claim what he thought was his, everything would begin to collapse. That night I called Desmond. "It's done," I said. His voice came through calm, deadly. "The bait is set." A pause, "and we own everything." He walked me through it, every debt, every loan, every liability, acquired, controlled, weaponized. "If Brandon misses one payment," I said slowly. Desmond finished it. "We take everything." Silence, heavy, final. "So what happens now?" I asked. His answer was simple, cold, precise. "Now," a pause. "We let them destroy themselves." Across the estate in the East Wing, Brandon was living through his own private apocalypse. He sat at his massive mahogany desk, fingers hammering wildly against his laptop keyboard. A high-priority alert had just hit his offshore banking portal. Automated, urgent, unforgiving. He clicked, entered his credentials, then his dual authentication codes. The screen loaded and loaded, before flashing a brutal, glaring red message. "Account frozen. Compliance hold initiated." The color drained from his face. "No, no, no, no." He opened a new tab, moving faster now, panic creeping into every movement. Cayman accounts access denied. Swiss holdings locked. Backup reserves restricted. Each failure hit harder than the last. His breathing turned shallow, rapid, uneven. With trembling hands, he grabbed his phone and dialed his shadow broker. His fingers shook so violently he dropped the phone twice before finally managing to press it to his ear. The call connected, and with it came the killing blow. Titan Holdings had executed the default clause on his bridge loan. Every account, every shell, every hidden asset he had built, buried, and protected. Seized. Gone. For a moment there was only silence. Then Brandon erupted. A guttural, animalistic scream tore out of him, raw panic, pure rage. He swept his arm across the desk. Glass shattered. Papers scattered. The sound echoed like a gunshot through the estate. Scarlett's hand froze midair, mascara wand hovering just inches from her lashes, as the bedroom door slammed open. Brandon burst in like a man being hunted. "Scarlett," he rasped. His voice was hollow, unrecognizable. She turned slowly, irritation already forming until she saw his face. And everything vanished. The arrogance. The control, gone. "What happened to your arm?" she whispered. Brandon didn't answer. He staggered toward the bed, dragging his fingers through his hair like he was trying to claw the panic out of his skull. They froze everything, he said. All of it. The accounts, the offshore reserves, even the backups. Titan Holdings called the loan. Scarlett blinked, trying to process it. What does that mean? He let out a broken, hysterical laugh. It means we're finished. No, she whispered. Yes. His eyes snapped to hers, cold now, calculating beneath the chaos. Unless, the word hung in the air. Scarlett swallowed. Unless what, Brandon? He stepped closer. We need cash, hard cash, untraceable, just enough to keep us afloat for a few days. Her expression tightened. I know your father keeps hundreds of thousands in that safe in his study, Brandon continued. Tithes, emergency reserves, he won't even notice a fraction of it missing. Scarlett recoiled as if struck. You want me to steal from my own father? Her voice trembled. If he catches me, he'll destroy me, he'll cut me off, he'll cut us off. Brandon's expression darkened, his voice dropping to a sharp, venomous whisper. Do you want to leave this mansion? She said nothing. Do you want to go back to your country club friends and tell them your husband is broke? Still nothing. Do this for us, Scarlett, he pressed. Right now, he's out meeting the church elders. This is your only chance. The room fell into a suffocating silence. The golden child, the perfect daughter, the woman who had spent her entire life looking down on others, now stood on the edge of something irreversible. After a few more minutes of Brandon's relentless pressure, the gaslighting, the fear, the manipulation, she broke. Slowly, almost mechanically, Scarlett nodded and walked out. She slipped into her father's office, closing the heavy oak door behind her with a soft, careful click. The silence inside felt heavier, judging, watching. Her hands trembled as she crossed the room and pulled aside the painting, revealing the steel safe hidden behind it. For a moment she hesitated, then she punched in the code. A sharp asterisk beep, asterisk, green light, the lock disengaged, the heavy door creaked open. Inside, neat stacks of cash sat waiting, untouched, unquestioned. Scarlett's breath caught, then instinct took over. She grabbed 4 thick bundles, shoving them into her oversized designer cardigan, her movements hurried, frantic. She slammed the safe shut, repositioned the painting, and rushed out, heart pounding, soul already cracking. When Darius returned from the meeting, he went straight to his office and logged into the church's master banking portal. He wasn't expecting trouble, just a routine check of the emergency credit lines. But the moment the numbers loaded, his face twisted. Not confusion, not concern, pure, unfiltered fury. The primary accounts were gutted. Millions gone, transferred out under Brandon's authorization codes. For a long, frozen second, Darius didn't move. Then the realization hit. This wasn't damage control. This wasn't borrowing. Brandon wasn't trying to save his hedge fund. He was bleeding the church dry. And then it got worse. Darius turned to his wall safe, intending to grab cash for a private dinner meeting. The moment the door opened, his eyes locked onto the empty space where stacks should have been. Gone, not all of it, but enough. Enough to confirm betrayal. His jaw clenched. There were only a handful of people with access to that safe, and only one of them would dare. His favorite daughter. Dinner that night was quiet, too quiet. Tension clung to the air like smoke. Everyone felt it. Everyone knew something was coming. Everyone except Jasmine, who calmly cut into her steak, savoring each bite as if she were watching her favorite show unfold. Because she was. Earlier, she had tapped into the internal camera system, her little upgrade to the estate's network. She had seen everything, every transfer, every theft, every desperate move. Now she was just waiting for the explosion. It came fast. Darius didn't waste time.